Hi, today we're going to be talking about Varroa mite detection. Varroa mites are one of the big bugaboos in beekeeping, and we have to stay on top of keeping track of how our hives are doing. What we want to do is make sure that we don't have a lot of Varroa mites in our hives because they're vectors for disease and they are not good for our hives. We'll talk about the sticky board method. This is a quick method to see how many Varroa mites you have in your hive. What it involves is a board. Usually it's gridded. It makes it easier for counting mites. And this goes into a screened bottom board. There are two kinds that I have seen. There probably are more. One has string at the bottom, and one has rails at the bottom. Okay. Now the idea is that Varroa mites are dying and falling off the bees all the time. So we want to see how many are falling down through the screened bottom board and onto your gridded board. This is a corrugated plastic. Okay, the first thing we need to do is take some sort of cooking spray. You can also use Vaseline. You take it and you want to spray in your gridded area. So you'll spray. And you'll take it and you'll put it in to your bottom board, and then you walk away from it. You come back in 2 or 3 days. The reason that you leave it on for 2 or 3 days is that you want to have more mites to fall, so you can get a better average on how many per day you get, because you want to keep track of how many you get per day. So you come back after 3 days, and you pull it out. It can be 2 days, just keep track of how many days it's in there. Pull this out, take it somewhere you can count, and then you'll count the number of mites in each one of these grids. You don't have to count all of them. I usually do, but you don't have to. Once you reach the threshold for treatment, you can stop counting. If you don't care how many, you just know that you're above, you can stop counting. If you can't see them, get a child to look. They have pretty good eyes. Some people treat without even bothering because they just can't see how small they are. So we have here a sample of some of the types of things you might see on your board. We have small hive beetles, which are the bigger dark ones. We have some tannish yellowish colored large pieces. Those are pieces of pollen. And we have small Varroa mites. And those are the little dark spots there. You'll also see some other things, what's called hive trash. And here's an example of something that was left on way over 3 days. And what we have in this case, we have a lot of trash, dead hive beetles, pieces of pollen, all kinds of stuff. There's a ladybug. But if you look really closely at some of these, you'll see there are some Varroa mites in here. And we want to make sure that we count those. You don't want to leave it on too long because, as you can see in the middle, we have way too much stuff to count. So you don't want to be picking through all that. So leave it in for 2 or 3 days. Then take it out, count them. Have some graph paper. And on this you want to put your how long you left it on, which hive you're using, what date it was, your ABCD and your 1, 2, 3, 4 from your grid, and then just write down, count how many are in each grid. Hopefully you won't have very many, but you might. Here are a couple of examples of what you might find. In this case, this particular hive had 56 mites in 24 hours. Got 60 mites in 25.5 hours. Make sure you convert it to 24 hours because that's what you're going to be treating on. So this is 56, it's above the treatment threshold, which is 40 mites per 24 hours. And here's an example that shows how many mites were in each grid. So we know that this one is above 40, it's time to treat. In this case, AP-like Varroa was the treatment of choice, and that is an essential oil treatment. It has thymol, which you will see frequently. It has menthol, eucalyptus, and camphor oils. So those essential oils are used to treat. This has, say, an 85 to 95% efficiency, and that will knock those mites down. This is not the gold standard method, but it's a very quick, easy way to see how your hives are doing, especially if you don't have hundreds of hives to check. And that is it for the sticky board.